The young and the restless spoilers shock. In the pre-dawn hush of Genoa City, Society Row lay shrouded in mist as Amanda Sinclair stepped from the shadow of her sleek sedan and paused before the ornate iron gates of the Grand Marquette Hotel. She had been summoned back to town on a matter that transcended every whispered rumor that had trailed her since she first took on the discreet mantle of counsel for the elusive Aristotle Dumas. As she ascended the marble staircase to the private suite where Victor Newman awaited, her pulse remained steady, unyielding, a testament to the steely will that had carried her through more perilous assignments than most could imagine. But Geneva City thrummed with a current of anticipation. Could Amanda, who held the confidences of the city's most enigmatic power broker, finally shed light on the man whose influence had reached into every boardroom and debutante gala? Or would her code of professional secrecy stand firm against the relentless probing of the empire's most ruthless titan? Victor Newman's arrival in the suite was heralded by the soft click of the door and the faint echo of his polished shoes against the marble floor. His gaze, as always, was a blade honed to surgical precision. He closed the distance between them in 3 long strides, each one reverberating with the unspoken question that had driven him across town. "You and I both know why you're here," he began, voice low and controlled, though the flicker of impatience in his dark eyes betrayed the depth of his frustration. "Dumas is no ordinary client. He's been orchestrating moves against me, raids, mergers, boardroom coups, and I want to know who he is." Amanda's posture did not waver. She inclined her head, her auburn hair catching the soft lamplight. "My role," she replied evenly, "is to represent Mr. Dumas's legal interests, not to divulge his identity. I can confirm that he exists, that his portfolio rivals any Fortune 500 conglomerate, and that his counsel, myself among them, operates under strict confidentiality." She paused briefly, offering him only what she was permitted to share. "Beyond that, I am bound by attorney-client privilege." Victor's lips pressed into a thin line. He had expected resistance, but he had not anticipated being thwarted so matter-of-factly. "I can make it worth your while," he countered, voice softening into an almost conspiratorial tone. "A retainer in the millions, quarterly bonuses, equity in projects he wouldn't dare touch without your approval. You won't lack for resources." Amanda's lips curved in a faint, ironic smile. "I appreciate the offer, Mr. Newman, but I am not motivated by money. My loyalty lies with my client, and until I am released from that obligation, I cannot, will not, betray his trust." Each word was measured, unyielding, yet delivered with an undercurrent of genuine respect for the man who sat across from her. In that moment, Victor realized that persuasion alone would not break Amanda's resolve. His knights and pawns had failed to extract so much as a sliver of truth, and now his impatience flared into something more dangerous. He rose abruptly, the chair's legs screeching in protest against the polished floors. "Then you leave me no choice," he declared, the muted roar of suppressed fury in his tone belying the calm facade. "If words won't work, I have other methods." Before Amanda could react, Victor's personal security team, hired for this very contingency, slipped into the suite like shadows come to life. He watched with cold detachment as 2 burly men closed in around Amanda, their grips firm on her arms. Amanda's calm remained unbroken. She lifted her chin, her green eyes meeting Victor's without a trace of fear. They escorted her from the suite to an unmarked black SUV idling nearby. Victor followed, directing the driver to an isolated warehouse on the outskirts of town, a location chosen for its seclusion and the absence of witnesses. Inside, under harsh industrial lighting, Amanda was secured to a steel chair, her wrists bound but her posture unbowed. Victor stood before her, the distance between them charged with raw emotion. "Now," he said, voice low and deadly calm, "we'll see how unshakable your principles really are." The guards stepped aside, leaving the 2 of them alone in the cavernous space. Victor advanced, placing a dossier on a metal table. The top sheet bore her name in crisp typeface alongside legal disclaimers and warnings. "These are the parts of the puzzle you refuse to hand over," he murmured, tapping the dossier with his fingertip. "Your client's real name. His origins. The network that lies beneath the veneer of Aristotle Dumas. Tell me, Amanda, are you afraid of what will happen if you do? He straightened, his shadow stretching across the cement floor. Amanda's pulse accelerated, yet the tremor never reached her voice. I am not, she replied, her gaze unwavering. You can threaten me, you can do your worst, but my oath is stronger than my fear. Victor's lips twitched. Was it annoyance or grudging respect? Everyone has a breaking point, he said softly. He strode toward her, loomed, and his hand curled into a fist at his side. They say you're terrified of dying, that you cling to life at any cost. That you'll betray everything to save your skin. Amanda let out a soft breath, as if amused rather than disturbed. Rumors, she said. People project their own fears onto me. Her voice rang with the certainty of someone who had stared into darkness and refused to blink. He leaned closer, nostrils flaring. Then prove it, he challenged. Tell me what I want to know, and I'll ensure that neither you nor those you care about ever suffer. Amanda's heart pounded, but she inhaled deeply and met his gaze. You can threaten my safety, Mr. Newman, but you cannot threaten my integrity. Aristotle Dumas trusts me, and I will not betray him. Silence reigned. Victor's chest heaved with contained fury, and the distant hum of the city seemed to recede until all that existed was the electric tension between them. Finally, Victor withdrew, his expression inscrutable. He motioned to his men, and they unbound Amanda, forcing her to her feet. We're done here, he said. For now. As she was led back to the SUV, Amanda's mind raced through the gravity of what had just occurred. The abduction would only be the beginning. Victor Newman was a man possessed once crossed, and he would stop at nothing to unmask Dumas. Yet Amanda's resolve remained unshaken. She knew the stakes. If she broke her oath, Aristotle Dumas's empire, and the secrets it safeguarded, would crumble. If she held firm, however, she would risk Victor's wrath and the full weight of his vendetta. When the SUV's door slammed shut, Amanda leaned back against the leather seat, her gaze fixed on the rear window as the city lights retreated. Fear had never governed her choices. Instead, an unshakable conviction guided her steps. She would protect her client's identity, not because she feared Dumas, but because she believed in the sanctity of her profession and the silent power of the truth unspoken. In the darkness of the night, Amanda Sinclair became more than an attorney. She became the living barrier between the man who pulled the strings and the wrath of the empire he dared to challenge. And as long as her courage held, the identity of Aristotle Dumas would remain a shadow cast across the bright facade of Genoa City, waiting for the moment when his secrets would finally see the light. In the wake of Victor Newman's brazen abduction of Amanda Sinclair, Devon Hamilton's fury burned hotter than any boardroom battle he had ever fought. The man he once saw as a mentor had crossed a line so egregious that Devon's very blood seemed to cry out for retribution. Under the veneer of calm professionalism, Devon has quietly begun to orchestrate his own counterstrike, a meticulous scheme woven from the same threads of influence and clandestine strategy that he accuses Victor of abusing. As Amanda prepares to return to the city's glittering social scene, Devon's plan takes shape in the recesses of his mind. He will unravel Victor's carefully constructed alliances, expose the vulnerabilities in his empire, and force the elder titan to taste a fraction of the fear he inflicted upon an innocent woman. Every corporate memo altered, every discreet conversation tinted with misinformation, will serve as a dagger aimed straight at Victor's heart. Yet as Devon polishes the edges of his vengeance, a creeping doubt gnaws at his resolve. He has poured his soul into protecting and loving Amanda, believing that their bond would weather any storm. But in his single-minded pursuit of payback, he has overlooked the subtle changes that have taken root in the woman he adores. Amanda's sojourn in the darkness of Victor's warehouse transformed her priorities. Where once she found solace in romantic dreams, she now draws strength from her professional principles and the unbreakable code of attorney-client privilege. Her heart, once open and trusting, has closed itself off, shut tight behind a fortress of ambition and self-respect. The Amanda who returns will not be the same woman who surrendered her nights to Devon's tender assurances. She will be a guardian of secrets so vital that no personal allegiance, even to him, can compromise her. When Amanda steps back into Genoa City's luminous glare, Devon will believe she is arriving as an ally, ready to stand by his side in the coming showdown with Victor. Instead, he will find her eyes distant, her conversations laced with the language of strategy rather than affection. She will refuse his appeals to temper his revenge, reminding him, perhaps more cruelly than Victor ever could, that her loyalty now belongs first to her own integrity and to the unspeaking man whose identity she protects. In that moment, Devon will realize that he has misread not just Victor's ruthlessness but Amanda's own transformation. His carefully plotted schemes will collide with her unyielding resolve, creating a schism far deeper than any vendetta against Victor. Is it possible, then, that Amanda will turn her formidable will against Devon himself? Will she perceive his campaign of retaliation as a betrayal of her values and strike back with legal and social weapons sharper than any corporate sword? The echoes of their fights could reverberate through Society Row and into the boardrooms of every influential family. Amanda, once guided by love, may now judge Devon's methods as reckless endangerment of the very principles she holds sacred. And if she does, her retribution could be swift and merciless: stalled cases, blocked introductions to powerful benefactors, and whispered warnings that Devon Hamilton is a man who puts vengeance above loyalty. In the coming days, Genoa City will watch as two forces, once intertwined by affection, find themselves locked in a battle of ideals. Devon will learn that love, while potent, can be fragile when confronted by the steely certainty of self-preservation. And Amanda will prove that her courage extends beyond defying Victor Newman, that she is prepared to stand up even to the man who once thought himself her protector. If Amanda's next strike is aimed at Devon, it will not be born of vindictiveness alone but of a resolute defense of the only thing left untainted by betrayal, her own honor. So yes, it is terrifying to consider that Amanda Sinclair might unleash her formidable strength on the man who loves her most, but in Genoa City, love and war are often two sides of the same coin, spun endlessly in the air until only the strongest convictions remain standing. Amanda's sharp gaze swept across the three figures clustered in the sumptuous drawing room of Society Row, her posture unflinchingly poised even as Devon's scowl and Lily's narrowed eyes bored into her with suspicion. "Let me be perfectly clear," she began, voice smooth but laced with steel. "Mr. Dumas doesn't care about the Winters legacy or Newman Enterprises. His only true admiration is reserved for Neil Winters." At her words, Devon's fists clenched and Lily's color drained, proof, Amanda thought, that even a hint of Dumas's singular obsession could unnerve them. But they pressed on, each question more pointed than the last, convinced that Amanda was spinning a web of half-truths to protect her clandestine employer. When Devon demanded to know why she had been dispatched as Dumas's envoy, Amanda inclined her head gravely. "My principal believed that a familiar, friendly face, someone you already know and trust, might soothe your anxieties better than a clandestine communiqué. He thought that I, as someone who has stood by you all in courtrooms and council chambers, could bridge the gap between rumor and reality." The room grew heavy with incredulity. Nate's lips pressed thin and Lily's arms crossed tightly against her chest. None of them could accept that Dumas, master manipulator of secrets and shadows, would place such faith in a single human ambassador, and yet here she stood. Amanda raised one hand, as though to forestall further interruption. "I understand your distrust. In 5 years, Mr. Dumas has operated in near total secrecy. He could erase himself from every record tomorrow and the world would not notice until his next move. But he has a singular purpose: to vindicate Neil Winters for the wrongs he suffered at the hands of Victor Newman." Devon's jaw tightened. 6 years of whispered campaigns and covert takeovers could never match Victor's decades of empire building, he thought. And Lily's eyes glistened with reluctant curiosity. "Your family name matters to him," Amanda continued. "He is furious over Victor's betrayal of Billy, and, yes, I am no stranger to the pain that betrayal inflicted upon Lily." She paused to let the admission resonate. Dumas's ally, an attorney once by Lily's side, acknowledged her outrage at Billy's misdeeds, forging a tenuous connection between the Winters siblings and this unseen benefactor. For a long moment, silence reigned, broken only by the faint crackle of Winston's TV behind them, an ironic testament to the public's obliviousness. Finally, Devon stood, diplomacy cracking under the weight of his protective fury. Respectfully, Amanda, 6 years of secret maneuvers can't compete with the decades Victor has owned this town. Neither Billy nor Neil needs a phantom savior. Amanda's expression softened for just a heartbeat as she leaned forward, voice gentle yet unwavering. Give it time. In this city, power is measured not by age but by intent. Mr. Dumas's intent is as precise as it is ruthless. He will not rest until he has undone the injustice done to Neil. You do him no favor by underestimating him. As Devon sat back down, rubbing his temples, Lily uncrossed her arms, the first sign that her defenses might be waning. Amanda seized the moment. I know this all sounds like a delicate snowstorm of legalese and platitudes, but believe me, you are not paranoid. You're cautious, and you should be. Mr. Dumas respects cautious allies, not reckless fools. I urge you to refrain from any ambush next time someone approaches you with a proposal on his behalf. He values discretion above all else. She stood, smoothing the skirt of her tailored dress, signaling both the end of her mission and the beginning of theirs. Consider what I've told you, talk among yourselves, and when the time is right, you'll decide whether to stand with him or simply step aside as he reshapes Genoa City in Neil Winters's name. With that, Amanda swept from the room, leaving Devon, Nate, and Lily to exchange glances heavy with unspoken admission. In the hush that followed, each one felt the ground shift beneath them. An unseen force had declared its allegiance to Neil Winters, and a trusted friend had become the bearer of a truth they could no longer ignore. The question on all their minds was no longer who is Aristotle Dumas, but rather how far are we willing to go to embrace, or resist, the storm he promises to unleash.